Hey everyone, Tony Winston here for Jazz Piano College. A student asked me the other day wanted to learn Fly Me to the Moon. And I said, let's look at one of my old videos, but I noticed that the chart I had up there was an old one that's in 3/4 time, and almost everybody does it in 4/4 time. So I found this chart in the New Real Book 2. And of course, you can print it out. It's down there in the description. And I'm going to make this for beginners. So my student's very young, and so I told her just to play, the triads first, all right? So first we got A minor. We're going to ignore the 7 and all that kind of stuff. So we got A minor, and then we got D minor. And I'm going to come back and put in the 7ths and show you kind of a good way to voice the chords and stuff like that. And I'll even do a little bit of advanced stuff towards the end. All right, so here we go. All right, we're not even going to do that C7th there. We're going to go right to F major. And even B minor 7 flat 5, we can just, do these 3 notes. Now, the only chord that has a black key in it is the E7. And you see it's the same as the melody. Now here, that E minor and A7th, we could just leave that out even. Just play C major and do it like that. All right, here's our B minor again, B minor 7 flat 5. We're just playing the B minor flat 5 part of it. And then up to E7, and then it's kind of the same thing on the second half, the B section. All right, now, where are the 7ths? Root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, okay? So let's do that. And we can fit all this in right here in the middle. And when the melody is tied and it comes like an 8th note before the new measure, like here on D minor, the melody actually hits on what we call the and of 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So go ahead and play the chord right there as well. Like that. Same with that one. Now, because we're playing our 4-note voicings here, we can do C7th like this, all right? And understand the difference between C major 7th and C 7th. Once again, the chord that has the black key in it. So here's A minor 7th and A 7th. All right, you can see they're very similar. Now let's do our E minor and our A 7th. Because we're already playing the 7th there, I'm just playing the triad. And same with this one. The melody is the 7th. And you'll notice there on C major 7th, we're playing what's called the avoid note, but it's in the melody. So what can we do about it? Well, there are ways to reharmonize it. You could go like this. It's kind of like an F minor chord. And then our B minor 7th and our E 7th. Now, I said I would show you an easier way to do this. If you'll notice that the melody almost always starts on the 3rd of the chord. See, here's A minor, and the 3rd of the chord is here, and that's the melody. So we can leave that note out of our chord. That makes the chord easier to play. Now, when you only play these 3 notes, you can't tell if it's minor or dominant, or minor or major. But the fact that you're playing it up here, now you can tell. You can tell it's a minor. So there's the 3rd again, right here. And there, you see, that's the note I'm leaving out. And that's one reason why this song works so well if you're playing like a bass line. Because as the bass player hits the root, the right hand is playing the third, and that's enough to kind of identify what the chord is. All right, back to where were we? We were on E7. Well, let's start. Let's just start it again. There's E and A minor, and then the melody actually will make it into A dominant seventh. And here we go for the rest of it. Now here we have the melody is no longer the third. So we could leave the fifth out for two reasons. One, we're going to it with our melody, and also the fifth doesn't do anything to identify the chord. Like the third, you can tell if it's minor or dominant. The seventh, you can tell if it's dominant or a major seventh. But the fifth doesn't give you any extra information. In fact, the fifth being an overtone of D is actually already there. It's in the spectrum of the sound. All right. So, and here I'll play the full G7. And there I could leave out the 5 or just play everything. Now for A7th, I'm going to do something very fancy here. I'm going to invert the chord. Okay, because here's A7th, but in the E minor, I already had those two notes in the, I was already playing those, so all I have to do is move those two down. I got root, third, fifth, seventh. And when you're doing a 2-5-1, which is what this is, 2-5-1 in the key of D minor. It's not a real 2-5-1, but it's a temporary 2-5-1. 2-5-1, all right? So this is a good way to do it. Invert that dominant chord in the middle. Then on to D minor 7th and G 7th. Yeah, we're playing the 7th here. And then here. Yeah, put a little something in there, okay? Oh. Now right there, you see, I was leaving out the third, and you can't really tell. Is it major or minor? So let's put the third in. Now here, I played G7, but I took that third and moved it up because the melody is there. So I just made it what you call a G7 suspended, right? The third is suspended up here. It wants to move back really bad, which it does right there. There's that inversion again. For you advanced folks out there, if you made it this far in the video, great place to use what they call drop 2. All right. And I usually do it like that, but really, I guess the correct way would be like that. Drop 2 just doesn't ever seem to work that well on dominant chords. It does kind of there. I never do it that way, but there's our G7, and I guess the passing tone would be there. All right, some other crap you can do here. This is a perfect place for what you call it's kind of tritone substitution, but you're not supposed to be able to do a tritone substitution from a minor chord, say, to a minor chord. But if you think, well, maybe that's really an A dominant seventh, then you can do, as dominant sevenths are where you can do tritone subs. So let's move that up to here like this. So we'll go like A minor to E flat 7. And here we're doing the same thing. We're thinking, okay, D dominant seventh would be like an A flat 7th tritone sub. So there it is. All right, so there's really like two reharms going on here. You're changing A minor to A 7th, and then you're doing the reharm, the tritone substitution of that. So, but you don't really need to go through all that. Any chord you're going to, if you go up a half step from the chord that you're going to and do a dominant chord, that is cycle of fifths. Moving down a half step is the same as, the tritone sub of the tritone sub is A, so, I really don't feel like explaining this morning. I'm just going to do it. F7th. The fifth in there makes it kind of bad, so maybe a flat 5 would be better. Or just leaving out the fifth altogether. See, F7th to E7th. Now here is a true tritone sub. All right, E7 to B flat 7. And notice I don't have to change much here, right? Because that's why the tritone sub works. The third and the 7th become the 7th and the 3rd. That's why it works. Okay, instead of A7, E flat 7 works perfectly. That's just a pure reharmonization there. In the second half, let me point out something that is a little more common than the chart here. Sing forevermore, you are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words. All right, playing. All right, and once again, you'd have to think of that as E dominant 7th, and then do the tritone substitution, which becomes a B flat. There's our chord, because that's the way Sinatra does it. Other words, please be true. Now, this is a good song for beginning improvisers as well, because you could stay on the white keys almost entirely here. Get to E7, and this is good for those who have studied their classical scales. You can do A minor, that's the relative minor of the C major key that we're in. So do the harmonic minor scale there. All right, and if you fill in the blank here, right, a little skip there with a G, that's going to be fine too. So. Actually, that's part of the diminished scale there as well. So. got fancy on you there. So you see me using a few black keys, but they're just like little, I don't know, what do you call them? Little, they're black keys. I don't know what to call them. You know, you're just altering the melody a little bit. All right, just messing around here a little bit on this. So long and farewell for today, and I'll be back again soon. Always appreciate the requests that you put down there in the comments, so I try to get to them. I've got a few on my list, like Lush Life and a couple of other ones. So especially if you have like some really kind of popular songs that the kids like or something like that, I'd like to cover some of those. So let me know down there in the comments, and I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone.